On the channel I have done numerous one from every team videos, and I actually did already do the best prospect from all 31 NHL teams, but that was like over a year and a half ago, and since then a lot of things have changed. And recently I have saw a lot of you guys commenting on some of my videos asking for this, so that's exactly what we're going to do in today's video. We're going to talk about the best prospect from all 31 NHL teams. And the only rule I have is the prospect can't have played more than 10 NHL games so far. And as always, if you guys have been enjoying the content, make sure to click that subscribe button and click the bell to turn on notifications so that you never miss a video. Starting the video off with Trevor Zegras for the Anaheim Ducks, the 9th overall pick in the 2019 NHL draft, and a lot of the other top prospects for Anaheim have already played more than 10 NHL games or are full-time members of the team now, so this was definitely a pretty easy pick, and Zegras looks like he's going to be a fantastic player one day. For the Arizona Coyotes, my pick is Victor Soderstrom, and with Barrett Hayton now being a full-time member of the team, this was a very easy pick. He was their 11th overall pick in 2019, and this season over in Sweden, he has 4 points in 11 games and looks like he's going to be a pretty solid blue liner for them eventually. Next up for the Boston Bruins, I went with Jack Stūdnicka, their second round 53rd overall pick in 2017, and so far this season in the AHL, Stūdnicka's playing some great hockey as he has 8 goals and 7 assists for 15 points in 20 games with the Providence Bruins. For the Buffalo Sabres, my pick is Dylan Cozens. With them having traded away Alex Nylander and Casey Mittelstadt obviously being a full-time NHLer, it's pretty clear that Cozens is the best prospect there now. And so far this season, he's lighting it up for Lethbridge of the WHL with 37 points in 24 games. For the Calgary Flames, there wasn't too many to choose from with guys like Kylington, Valimaki, and Dubé all playing more than 10 NHL games, so I went with their 26th overall pick in 2019, Jakob Pelletier, and so far this season for Moncton and the Kiwis playing very well with 42 points in 22 games. For the Canes, I'm going with Alex Nedeljkovic, and I was kind of debating between him and Jake Bean, but I went with Nedeljkovic because I definitely think he will be a starting goaltender one day. He was a second round pick, 37th overall by the Canes in 2014, and last year in the AHL he was fantastic, a 34-14-1 record, a .916 save percentage, and a 2.26 goals against. So far this season, not off to a great start, but the team is a lot worse this year as he just has a 3-5-1 record, a .912 save percentage, and a 2.46 goals against, which still aren't bad numbers at all. For the Blackhawks, I'm going with Adam Boqvist. Kirby Dach now a full-time member of the team and has played more than 10 games, so I can't go with him, and by the time you're watching this, Adam Boqvist very well could have played more than 10 games as well, because he's already played in 6 games where he has 1 goal for 1 point, and played in 8 American Hockey League games and has a goal and 3 assists. I think he's the real deal and is going to be an amazing blue liner for the Hawks one day. Next up we have the Avs, and for them it's easily gotta be Bowen Byram, their 4th overall pick in this previous NHL draft, and so far this season he's not putting up points like he was last year in the WHL with just 16 points in 22 games, but still looks like a blue chip prospect. And I will give an honorable mention to Alex Newhook because he looks like he's gonna be a pretty promising player for them as well. For the Blue Jackets, I'm going to go with Liam Foudy. Wasn't too many choices here because they did trade away a lot of their good prospects at last year's trade deadline, but Liam Foudy was their 18th overall pick in 2018, and so far this season for London, he's looked pretty good with 19 points in 13 games. Moving on now to the Dallas Stars, and they've been a relatively good team for a while, so they don't really have too many high-end prospects, but I'm definitely going to go with Ty Dellandrea. He was their 13th overall pick in 2018, and he looks like he'll probably turn out to be a decent NHLer one day. Moving on now to the Red Wings, and I'm going with Filip Zadina, but I will give honorable mentions to Moritz Seider and Joe Veleno as well. Filip Zadina has been playing amazing in the American Hockey League over the past 2 weeks, and his great play down there has earned him a call-up to the Red Wings as he is in the lineup tonight against the Carolina Hurricanes. With Anthony Mantha out with an injury, we're gonna need Zadina to step up and hopefully provide some offense, and it's definitely gonna make this game a lot more exciting to watch because this season Detroit's just been downright boring. For the Oilers, I'm going with their 10th overall pick in 2018, Evan Bouchard. Obviously a very offensive defenseman, and he's been showing that this season in the American Hockey League with 10 points through the first 17 games. I kind of thought he was going to crack the roster this year, but it is probably smart that they're being pretty patient with him, and I think by next year he will be a full-time member of that blue line. For the Panthers, I'm going with their 13th overall pick in the 2019 NHL draft, Spencer Knight, but I will give an honorable mention to Grigory Denisenko. This season for Boston College, Spencer Knight is showing why he is looked at as one of, if not the best goaltending prospect in the entire NHL, as he has a 7-4 record, a .936 save percentage, and a 1.91 goals against. I think it is safe to say that one day Spencer Knight will be an elite goaltender in the NHL. Moving on to the LA Kings, and I'm easily going to go with their 5th overall pick in 2019, Alex Turcotte, and I think them getting him at 5th, that's a really good pick, as he played in the shadow of Jack Hughes in the 2018-19 season. If he didn't, I think he honestly could have been a top 3 or even a top 4 pick in that draft. And so far this season for the University of Wisconsin, Turcotte is playing fantastic through the first 12 games of the the season, he has 6 goals and 9 assists for 15 points. For the Minnesota Wild, I'm 100% going to go with Kirill Kaprizov. He is the oldest player on the list at 22 years old because he was a 5th round pick, 135th overall back in 2015, but he has been lighting up the KHL over the past couple of years, and this season is no different as he already has 28 points through the first 27 games of the season. For the Montreal Canadiens, I'm going with Cole Caufield, and some people may think it should be Ryan Poehling, but I have to give it to Cole Caufield, as he not only looks like the best prospect that the Habs have, but he looks like one of the best prospects in the entire NHL. Caufield was Montreal's 15th pick in this previous NHL draft. That is an absolute steal for a guy who looks like he's going to be an amazing goal scorer at the NHL level, and so far this season for the University of Wisconsin, in 14 games he has 9 goals and 7 assists for 16 points. Next up for the Nashville Predators, I gotta go with Eeli Tolvanen, now that Dante Fabro is a full-time member of their blue line, and Tolvanen was the 30th overall pick by the Predators in the 2017 NHL draft, and a little over a year ago he was looked at as one of the best prospects in the entire NHL, but by now everyone expected him to be in the NHL, and he's still kinda trying to find his way at the American Hockey League level. As this season, in 20 games for the Milwaukee Admirals, he has 4 goals and 2 assists for 6 points, so he has been a little underwhelming so far, but still is the best prospect affiliated with Nashville. For the Devils, I'm gonna go with Ty Smith, their 17th overall pick in the 2018 draft, and obviously Jack Hughes came into the NHL right away, so he doesn't qualify, and now Jesper Boqvist is a full-time NHLer for them as well. So that made going with Ty Smith a pretty easy pick here. And this season for the Spokane Chiefs, in 15 games, Ty Smith has 4 goals and 10 assists for 14 points. Not quite scoring at the rate he was in the 2018-19 season, but still looks like a very good prospect for them, and eventually a future top 4 defenseman. Next up we have the New York Islanders, and for them, I'm gonna go with Noah Dobson, but I will give an honorable mention to Oliver Wahlstrom as well, who looks like a pretty great prospect. So far this season, Dobson has played in 6 NHL games and has recorded 2 assists for a total of 2 points, and by the time you're watching this, he very well could have played in 10 NHL games. And in the 6 games that he's played as a 19-year-old, he looks fantastic already and definitely looks like a future top 2 defenseman for the Islanders. Next up we have the Rangers, and it's gotta be Vitaly Kravtsov, but I will give an honorable mention to Keandre Miller as well because I'm a big fan of his. And heading into this season, everybody and their dog thought that Vitaly Kravtsov was going to be a top 6 forward for the Rangers, but they are playing the patient game as they sent him down to the American Hockey League, and now he's currently playing in the KHL and will be there for the remainder of the season, but definitely by next year he should be a full-time member of the Rangers. For the Ottawa Senators, with all their top prospects having graduated to the NHL and having played more than 10 games, I gotta go with Vitaly Abramov here, who they acquired from Columbus at last year's trade deadline. And Abramov looks like he's gonna be a pretty great NHLer in the future, as this season for the Belleville Senators of the American Hockey League, in 16 games he has 7 goals and 7 assists for 14 points. He's also played in 2 games for the Ottawa Senators this year where he has a goal as well, so it's nice to see him get his first NHL goal under his belt already. Next up for the Philadelphia Flyers, I'm gonna go with Morgan Frost, and by the end of the season he will have played more than 10 games because he is currently with the Flyers and is playing very well, but as of right now, since he's only played 3 games, he still does qualify, and in those 3 games he has 2 goals and 1 assist for 3 points, and I looked on dailyfaceoff.com and apparently he's centering Giroux and Voracek right now, so he's in a prime position to have an amazing rookie season. Next up we have the Penguins, and they've called up a lot of their prospects because of all the injuries they've had this season, so Samuel Poulin technically still does qualify, so that's who I'm gonna go with. He was their 21st overall pick in 2019, and that's looking like a potential steal, as this season in the QMJHL for the Sherbrooke Phoenix, he is playing amazing with 37 points already through the first 23 games of the season. Moving on now to the Sharks, I'm gonna go with Ryan Merkley, who was their 21st overall pick in the 2018 draft, and obviously he seems to have some off-ice issues and isn't a great locker room guy, but on the ice, he's a great offensive defenseman, and so far this season for the London Knights in 18 games, he has 6 goals and 18 assists for 24 points. Next up we have the Blues, and for them, I'm gonna go with Klim Kostin. Now, Jordan Kyrou technically isn't a full-time member of the team, but he has played way more than 10 NHL games, so he misses the cutoff for this video. But Klim Kostin, their 31st overall pick in 2017, looks pretty good, as this season in 14 American Hockey League games, he has 3 goals and 5 assists for 8 points. And Kostin also has appeared in 4 NHL games this season and has a goal, so it is nice to see him get his first NHL goal already, and does look like a future NHLer for them. Moving on now to the Tampa Bay Lightning, my pick for them is Cal Foote, and obviously they don't have too many top-tier tier prospects because they have been such a good team, but Caufield being their 14th overall pick in 2017 looks like a pretty promising young blue liner. And since it is the Tampa Bay Lightning and they always luck out with these young players, he's probably going to turn into a Norris Trophy caliber defenseman. Next up we have the Leafs, and for them I'm going with their 29th overall pick in 2018, Rasmus Sandin, and he looks like the real deal as he did play in 6 NHL games this season and had 2 assists for 2 points, and in 10 American Hockey League games he has 2 goals and 7 assists for 9 points already. And he's a guy that their new head coach Sheldon Keefe knows very well, and I'm pretty sure by next year he's going to have a very prominent role in this blue line. For the Canucks, this was a pretty easy pick as most of their top-notch prospects are now prominent members of the actual NHL team, so I'm going with Vasili Podkolzin, the 10th overall pick in this previous NHL draft. And while he's probably still about, 3 to 4 years away from playing in the NHL, because when you draft those Russian guys, they usually stay over in the KHL for a while, take Kirill Kaprizov as an example, but when Podkolzin comes over, by that time Vancouver should be a very good team with all the young talent they have, and him coming over is probably just going to make them that much better. For the Vegas Golden Knights, they either traded away all their good prospects to bring in win now players, or the one they kept, Cody Glass, is now a full-time member of the NHL team, so I'm gonna go with their 17th overall pick in 2019, Peyton Krebs. And getting him at 17 at the time looked like a steal because he was coming off a pretty big injury, and I think that is the biggest reason why he slid down the draft. And so far this season he has only played in 3 games of the WHL and has 2 assists for 2 points, but again, he is coming off a pretty bad injury. For the Washington Capitals, I'm gonna go with Ilya Samsonov, but by the time you're watching this, he very well could have played in 10 NHL games now because he's currently sitting at 8 with a 5-2-1 record, a .912 save percentage, and a 2.65 goals against. And Braden Holtby, their current starter, is an up-and-coming UFA, so if the Caps don't want to throw a boatload of money at him to keep him around and he does decide to go somewhere else, I don't think they'll be in too bad of a spot because Samsonov looks like the real deal and would be a great replacement. And now finishing out the video with the Winnipeg Jets, and my pick for them is their 24th overall pick in 2017, Kristian Vesalainen. By now I think a lot of people expected him to be at least a top 9 forward for them at the NHL level, but the Jets are playing it very safe with him and not rushing him at all, and he's currently playing in the AHL this year. So that is going to wrap up today's video. I really hope you guys did enjoy. Make sure to let me know down in the comment section below if you disagree with any of my picks, who would your choice for that team be? And with all that being said, thank you guys so much for watching today's video. If you did enjoy, please make sure to drop a like on it and subscribe to the channel for daily NHL content, and I will see you guys all in the next video.